freeze drying dry oatmeal, so it hasn't been cooked, and also some cubed apples or diced apples, some of the cubes of strawberries, and some dried cranberries. Down to the last 18.5 minutes. The pressure is really low. It says the temperature is 118 in the bottom of that one tray. After all that final dry time, by the way, I added one more hour, so 11 additional hours. Now the middle two trays are the warmest. They're about 125. The outside two trays are about 110 right now. So it's all had a good chance to dry. We're going to take it out, weigh it. I think I'm going to stir them up a bit, especially the fruit, and then put it back in for a weight check. So let's get them out and back in. So just going to down arrow past the last of the time. Open the drain valve. And find out what they weigh now. Okay. And I'd already switched some things around. So here's tray one. So 1388. Like I said, I'm going to just kind of stir them up a bit. Of course, being careful not to lose any bits. But that way, if there's any clumps where water could be hiding in the center, kind of get rid of that. They feel perfect. And with that many hours of final dry, they really should be ridiculously dry. Not sure about the cranberries. They're a dried, sweetened cranberries, so it's actually a lot more fruit. I wish I had gotten fresh cranberries and just cooked them myself. Oh well, that's what we got. And give those a good stir. Everything feels warm. And the cranberries, because they're a sweetened cranberry, they will feel kind of soft and pliable until they cool, and then they'll probably get pretty crunchy. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the same spot in tray two and kind of do the same thing with it. Yeah, they feel very, very dry. No cool spots or anything. Yeah, and the thermometers won't really matter now because we know that they've made it up to temperature. So I'm going to get that one back in there. And tray three, 72 grams that it's lost. So dry oatmeal has a decent amount of water in it. Again, going to just stir them a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be an issue at all with that amount of dry time. Maybe I'll switch it with this one because this one tends to be cooler. And that one's down about 76. Kind of plow it up a little bit and putting it on the top this time. So get the drain valve closed. By now it should be very, very dry. So we'll give it more dry time. I did close it, and that's cool enough. And there, extra quarter hour, so that I've got the full 2 hours before I check it. I'm back, but it's been 4 hours, not 2 hours. I added a couple more hours to that because, well, I was doing other things. So now it's been 4 more hours. If it lost any weight, it was over a 4-hour period. It still could be important if it's any significant amount. So let's get them out and check them. So down arrow past the left of that. Okay, open the drain valve. And let's see what we've got. So tray one is down here. And very, very toasty. So this first check after 4 hours is 1383. That means it's down by 5 grams. That means I have to put it back in. It might be done now. but I can't risk it. Okay, tray 2. 1182, that's only down by 1. If that was the worst of them, I would take them out. Tray 3, 1459. Okay, and that's only down by 1. So it's probably going to be okay. But the strawberries must have lost a decent amount still. And 15.9, so it's also only lost 1. Let me double check tray 1. So let's make sure that it's properly tared out. Okay, it's zeroed. So it's properly zeroed out. That's 83, 84. So the other trays are finished, but this one's not. So I'm putting them all back in. Okay, yeah, if I were just going by feel and time and everything, temperature, I would have taken them out last time. And it would probably be okay to do so. Okay, so I'm going to give that more time. The fact that it was only 5 grams in 4 hours strongly suggests that it would be done by now. But I'm going to double check for 2 more hours because I can. And the thought of putting any water in the bags is just something I can't do when I know how to take it out. You know, maybe this is overboard. Maybe I'm drying it too much. But I'm still going to do it. And I could take the rest of the things out. And I could. But the way I'm going to bag it, I really want to have it all available at the same time. Though I'm going to do one fruit at a time, so I could probably get away with doing part of it at a time. Let me think about that. Don't go away. No, the one that had the issue has 2 of the fruits on it. I would only be able to bag 1/3 of the product, and the other oatmeal, 2/3 of the oatmeals, would have to wait until the fruit's done. So I'm going to go ahead, add time, and we'll get them back out in a couple hours and take care of them. It'll only be a little after 5, it's not a big deal. Now we'll add more time. So I'm going to add more time. Drain valve is closed, and I'm going to tell it to go. And I'll add 15, so we have a full 2 hours. Be right back. 2 hours later, and it was time to take the oatmeal and fruit out, but I still couldn't remember to turn the microphone on, so I'll have to narrate what I did on this part. Using the down arrow, I skipped past the remaining time. Next, I opened the drain valve to equalize the pressure so I could open the door. There was no change in the weight of any of the trays, so I took the food out and stopped the machine using the no defrost button. Next, I put the defrost fan in the door to start it defrosting. For the amount of dry time, I used 3817 since it was dry at least 2 hours earlier than this. I don't know exactly how long, but at least 2 hours, so I'm using the 3817 for the total dry time. The power usage for this batch was 29.86 kilowatt hours. And then I reset the power meter for the next batch. With this batch, I put all the food into Ziplocs before weighing it. That way it would help keep it away from humidity until I bagged it. So I finally have the numbers. So the dry oatmeal lost 176 grams. The apples lost 509 grams. The cranberries lost 36 grams, which isn't too surprising because they were dried cranberries. Now they're drier cranberries. And the strawberries are the winner with 520 grams. So these three weighed almost the same when they started. Now there's almost 500 grams between them. Okay, so I've got some of the bags labeled. These are for the single servings. So I'm going to do some bags of single servings and some bags with 2 servings. That's my plan. So I've got oatmeal with apples, oatmeal with strawberry, and oatmeal with cranberries. The batch number, the date it went into the freeze dryer, the fact that it's 1/2 cup with fruit. So 1/2 cup is what they called the serving with the oatmeal. And then the water needed, well, that's sloppy, 263 grams for the apple, 264 grams with the strawberry, and only 231 grams with the cranberry, because again, it was a dried cranberry, so it doesn't need as much, so it didn't lose as much. It didn't have as much water in there. The other bags, I'm planning on a whole cup and then the fruit. So the plan is, I'll start with one of the varieties and do all those. So 1/15 of the strawberries works out to 3.26 grams of strawberries. So a small amount, 1/15, which would still be good for a serving. And it'll have 40.9 grams of the oatmeal. So let's get those started. Which one to start with? Let's start with the strawberries. So the way I'm going to handle this is I'll use, assuming these both weigh the same. Okay, so I can tear that out. Oops, got to leave it on there. Okay, so I've got 2 cups. I'll use one of them for the oatmeal and then one for the fruit. That way I don't have to worry about going back and forth with the bag. So I'll get 40.9 grams of the oatmeal mix, and then we'll add the fruit. Okay, too much. So I need 40.9. All right, so that's what it calls a serving, and that's one of the reasons we'll do some with 1 serving and some with 2, because that's a small amount, but it does show that I can easily get it into the double one, into the 1 bag. So that'll go in, and I'll use the same one each time for each component. But now I know I can label the other bags with these small pint bags. So on these I need about 3¼ grams. So that's not, well, about half of that. Okay, so there's the fruit to go with it. So that looks pretty good. Okay, and it's a very small amount in the bag, but I'd be able to pour the water right in there or pour it out. But I can obviously get double servings or triple servings in there. So I'll give my little post-it note right here, so I'll know how much to put in it. So 40.9. I'm going to label the other bags for twice that much and get those ready. So that'll be 5 more of them for the 15 servings. I'll be right back with those bags. The 2 serving ones, 81.9. I could definitely get more servings in than that, but we don't want it to have a lot of servings. We don't want a lot of servings in these bags. We want enough to pour in a small breakfast or a large breakfast, and have it enough for that. We're not trying to make it multi-serving bags, really. Nailed it. So a smaller bag would still be useful, but this is the smallest bag I currently have, is the pint bag. All right, you can see it's a fair amount of raw oatmeal. So once you mix that up with hot water, it's going to be quite a bit. It's like a 1/2 cup of fruit. I was mentioning the scale one other time, and if you just blow on it gently, you can see it moves a couple grams. How about that? Before I get to the next variety, I'll get this sealed up. Again, this isn't very good for long term, but this bag will keep it away from the moisture for a few hours while I'm working on this stuff, or a few minutes. Before I do the next variety, I'm going to go ahead and put oxygen absorbers in these strawberry ones and get them sealed so that they're not just sitting here waiting. And this time on the little pint ones, I'm going to be using the 50 cc oxygen absorbers. I don't normally have 50 cc oxygen absorbers except when I buy the bag oxygen absorber combination, except for this one came in the box with the 300s, and so it had one package of those. Since I'm going to be doing 30 bags all at once right now, I'm going to go ahead and use some of these, and then I'll get them sealed. Get that resealed right away. Just drop them in there, push out any extra air. Now, get them heat sealed. Just sealing as high on the bag as I can. Make sure that it's good and sealed. Going to do that first one twice to make sure that it's up to temperature all the way. Which I don't really think it's an issue, but I've gotten in such a habit of it that I just keep doing it. I'm going to add the gross weight to each bag as I normally do. So this bag is 103 grams as it sits right now. So I'll write 103 grams at the bottom corner. Now if water ever starts getting into this bag, I'll know right away. I'll be able to know by weighing it instead of having to open it to see if it's gone bad. With those all labeled, those are ready to go into the bin. The other two batches will be very similar, just a different fruit. So I'll get those done and then we'll move to the bin. So 40.9, it's the fruit to go with that serving. Okay, next, the oatmeal and cranberry one. So this, we need a lot more weight of cranberry, but it'll be about the same volume. They shrank a little bit perhaps. And 36.4 grams. So then the fruit, or the cranberries and oatmeal in the bag. And I'm flipping this over on a regular basis because I'm afraid the brown sugar isn't stuck to the oatmeal. I should have probably maybe got it wet a little bit first to make it stick and then dry it. I'll move on to the 2 serving ones, and those need 81.9 grams. Whoa, that's really close. First try. Okay, so this one's a little bit heavy. 6 grams, should I take that out? I'm gonna just ignore it. So more of the small oxygen absorbers. Okay, let's get any extra air pushed out and get them zippered shut. I've never used one of the chamber ones, so I don't know how long they take to seal each one. But on this batch there was 30 bags, so how long does that take to seal? Even if you use a chamber one, or even if you vacuum it out, you still need to add the oxygen absorber to absorb the oxygen that's going to come into the bag, because these bags are not a jar or a can. The oatmeal and fruit is finely bagged. It took me a long time to write all the bags. I should have just printed labels on this particular set, but I didn't realize how many bags I was going to end up using. I decided to bag them in what is considered one serving, so it's a half cup of oatmeal, and then you add 1 cup of boiling water to it, and then it also has about 38 grams of fruit in it when it's wet. So like a 1/4 cup of fruit in it. So we'll get those into bin 7, and then that batch had such a little amount of water, about 2 pounds, and it took me so long to get these bagged, it's already time to start the freeze dryer. So as soon as I get these bagged, I'll be moving over and getting it started for the next batch, which is cilantro lime pulled pork. Anyway, let's get these in the bin and then we can move on. Okay, so the last thing that went in there was the eggs, and now the oatmeal, and lots of little bags. So 30 of the little pint bags. So I'll try to make sure that I get these nestled down the middle so I can get the best packing that I can. The oatmeal's in there. It'll be no problem getting the cilantro lime pulled pork in there, though those may end up being a lot more of the 2-quart bags because I don't want to break up the pieces very much. But we'll see how they bag and see how they fit. Until the next one, thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, and a special thanks for all the comments and support. Thanks a lot. Now that the first 500 pounds of food is done, the first 50 batches, not finished editing yet, but they're all done now, I can finally rehydrate some of the things. And I've really been wanting to rehydrate some of this oatmeal with the fruit in it. So doing one of the bowls of it, I've got the water here, and I kept it a little low because about 40 of the grams is for the fruit. So I left it about 40 grams low because I could easily add more water later, but I like my oatmeal a little bit thicker, a little bit drier. So I'm going to add a little bit less. I know some people like their oatmeal like soup. I like mine thicker. Okay. Get the little oxygen absorber out of there. You see all the apple pieces on top. And this is the oatmeal with just a touch of brown sugar in it. And then the apple chunks. I should have probably added a bit of cinnamon to the apple ones. That would have been good. Well, you could always add it when you're getting ready to do it. So I've got the boiling water. And it'd be easy to add more of it later. So I think I'll reserve out a little bit of it and give that a stir, and then come back and check it in about 15 minutes. Okay, it's 15 minutes later, and it might need more time and maybe some microwave time. The apples look good, but the oatmeal looks like it still needs additional heat, and it's not terribly hot. Yeah, it's only 135, 134. So I'm going to microwave it for a few seconds and then recheck it. But I want to check one of these pieces of apple right now. They look like it still needs to rehydrate a bit. Wow, that's good. It was a little bit dry still. So I'll microwave that for a few seconds and come back. Don't go away. Okay, let's check that. Oh, that's much hotter. 170. Oh, and much thicker. I like that. So for me, I would say I would leave out some of the water. That's a couple of ounces, well, 1.5 ounces. So that I like better. All right, so still scorchy hot. Let's check it. Nice mix of fruit and oatmeal. Oh, the apples are back to what they were, nice and tender apples. Those are Granny Smith apples, so it'd be a good baking apple. Okay, and again, I like mine thick. You can see how thick it is. I don't like mine real runny. If you want yours thinner, add more of the water back in. I think it needs a bit of cinnamon sugar. And we should have somewhere cinnamon sugar. Sugar and spiced apple cider mix, so with cinnamon. So kind of a apple pie spices. That works great. Yeah, I like the fruit and the spices and things. It's much better than just plain oatmeal. Because frankly, plain oatmeal is kind of yucky and boring. So I gotta have fruit in it, and that works out well. Get 45 servings in one freeze dryer load. So I think 45 worked out really well. So the fruit and oatmeal mix, I'm real happy with. I would probably do that. Well, I will do that again because that is a simple way to get a large quantity of things into the freeze dryer and into the bags. So that's it for this one. We'll be back with more things. It taken blah blah blah. Might have even been able to get a little more in there. Then you probably couldn't get enough fruit to go with it. So I think 45 worked out really well. I would vote for 45 again. And demonetized.
Oh, but